Welcome to Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure. I'm Bill Tilley.
And I am Rob Schulte. Bill, it's a new season, and I wanted to go over something with you.
Please.
Because you always choose very unique seasons. Not that I don't. I'm just saying I love it. I'm very much looking forward to this. But I wanted to pull up the old master schedule we've got.
Oh, all righty.
And so this is of the year of our Lord 2024, your second series, correct?
Yeah, is it gonna? No, let's see. This is
because what did we do before RoboCop? Was that was Lady Killers?
We did Lady Killers. Yeah, so this is my second one.
So we got Lady Killers, and we did RoboCop, and now we're doing Macho Cheese, which is great. And then I have a second choice that I have yet to choose. And then that's going to end around October-ish, right? We're just throwing caution to the wind there, guessing what it might be. And then, of course, Pumpkin Spice Podcast will take over the feed for the Prophecy series that we're doing over there for 5 episodes. And then it goes into Bill's choice. You would be your third, which would essentially put us through the end of the year. But I wanted to propose something to you, Bill. And I waited until we were on mic to get your true opinion about this.
Oh.
And not at all because it just came to me 30 minutes ago.
Not at all. He's got a little bit of a Burt Convy game show host vibe going on this one. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Oh, well. Behind door number 4. Now, we always end up, kind of like throwing some holiday stuff in towards the end. But what if we planned for our November, December, and after my second one, instead of just going into another Bill series, we did episodes at each other in some way, shape, or form. Right? Where like you choose one, then I choose one. And maybe that gets us through the holiday season, knowing that we can do a Dutch, we could do a Die Hard 2, or we could do whatever, Cobra, maybe.
Ooh. So we're just going to do some freestyling. Is that what you're saying?
We might freestyle the end of the year so that we can really plan to hit 2025 with a big old bang.
I'm down for that. I have no problems with it. It's kind of a nice idea, especially towards the end of the year, because we're actually pretty busy, and that lets us free up at least kind of what we want to do. And I love doing the series. You love doing the series. We also do like to go off script every so often and just not really have a reason to watch a thing, just like we can't wait. So I'm all for it. I'll call this the subgenre right back at you.
Excellent. I love it. Well, a meeting is now adjourned and we can get into the action of today's episode. Bill, and you chose Action Jackson from 1988. Tell me why.
So the easy reason was, of course, this is a tribute to the late, great Carl Weathers. When Carl passed, we were doing our previous, I think we were in Lady Killers when we were recording that. And I'd made the promise that whatever series I cooked up next time, it was going to start off with Action Jackson. So I built around Action Jackson, and that's where I came up with the Macho Cheese idea, because I'd heard of the movie, hadn't watched it, been meaning to watch it, just felt right. So it was time to tee this thing up, and boy howdy, did we get some prime viewing out of this thing as far as I'm concerned. I'm not gonna hide that lead too bad. It was a hell of a movie. So I was by the time this movie was over viewing, I was very happy I'd made this choice. Although it's one of those movies where I've done this before, where I feel like, boy, I really came out of the gate swinging, and I know a couple of the ones we're going to do. It's like, I hope we can live up to the hype for the rest of the time, because this thing set a bar.
But that's also that's the fun of it.
It sure
right?
is. It
absolutely
is the fun part.
Sometimes you just got to throw it out there. This is what we're doing. Let's see how they rank up against each other in an actual rank sort of way, or just in a viewing sort of way.
I attribute it more to drawing a parallel that you might see on Rob's other hit podcast, Vanderpump Robs, which I call How Does Jax Top Himself? And I listen
or Tom
to
Sandoval at that.
And I listen to your shows because I can't keep caught up, so I count on you. And I'm like, oh, surely they won't top it. And then Rob gives us another episode, and I'm like, there you go. We're playing the same sort of game.
I'll tell you, Bill, it's been a big week. The week we're recording this was also the week the season 11 finale came out.
Oh dear.
I am full of drama and vinegar.
Well, you look great.
Thank you.
Can't tell from the side of the screen. You look wonderful.
Well, great. Well, you know what else is wonderful? The side of the box, the back side, that is. Mm-hmm. Should I read the back of the box?
Please do. Put some action into this review on the back of the VHS that Rob, once again, he's gone into the salt mines. Of course, this time he had to fight his way through a bunch of 80s Detroit thugs on the way down to get this one. Don't know why that happened. They just showed up there.
They just showed up, man.
They were no match for him. He has it in his hand. Let us have it, Robs.
All right, here we go. Action Jackson, 1988. Like the blast from a .44 Magnum, Action Jackson explodes with the most spectacular action-adventure excitement of the year. Carl Weathers, Predator, Rocky, is Detroit Police Sergeant Jericho Action Jackson. He's pitted against the brutal thugs of ruthless auto tycoon Peter Delaplane, Craig T. Nelson, Poltergeist, and The Killing Fields, who's out to murder his way to political power. Jackson's also involved with Delaplane's beautiful wife, Patrice, Sharon Stone. Irreconcilable differences. That movie was her only
that's what they picked.
That's what they picked anyway. And his exotic mistress, Sydney, singer Vanity, of Prince fame. Framed up and hunted down by his own cops, Jackson sets up a desperate showdown that hurls Action Jackson against a heart-stopping climax. That one was tough to read, but I love it.
That was just full of hyperbole and wonderful words to trip over.
But I did it. And if Rob Adler does his job,
I wonder.
No one will know.
I wonder if we could do a whole series just based on of the year, because all these back of the boxes, so many of them write, this is the biggest whatever of the year. And what if you took a whole year of movie releases, looked at all the VHS tapes, what you would come up with? How many of them?
You know, I would also love to do one called Tour de Force.
Ooh.
Like every movie that has Tour de Force in the description.
Nice.
Or Nonstop Thrill Ride.
It's perfect. Yeah. We're going to be watching Executive Decision for sure.
And the ones that are on both.
Oh, absolutely.
Bill, so tell me about the film, like in the sense of 1988. Was this Bill viewing?
It would have been. I got to tell you, this movie got by me, and I've always known it was out there. I don't know why it got by me. I really don't have a good reason for it, other than it must just not have been in rotation when I was checking stuff out. So it kind of skittered past, and then it just is a thing of its time. I don't know how this wasn't in heavy rotation when I had cable, because it must just have gone somewhere. If it was there, I missed it, and I deeply regret that. But when I watched it and I first put it in and was taking a look at it, you know, that opening scene coming over the city, I got such Beverly Hills Cop vibes checking it out. I'm like, is this movie going to be just trying to rip this off? And is it going to be just one rip off after another? It is not. But it really is just one of those quintessential openings that tells you, yep, you've come on home to the late 80s. Sit down for an hour and a half and watch everything on screen detonate.
In the Motor City.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bill, I have to save my thoughts because, of course, this is the first time I've seen this film. And will it be the last? We'll probably find out by the end of today's episode.
If only we had a section where we have to talk about that.
Yeah. And also, if anyone has listened to more than this episode, they probably know if this fits in my oeuvre.
Yeah, this is one that I just like to serve up so fast to Rob. I just can't hardly stand it. I love to know he's going to get his big old nice view of the 80s, the scenery, the colors.
You done did it, Bill. Well, what's our first segment for this genre, or not genre, this series that you have laid before me on a silver platter?
Well, this is our fact segment where we try to find out some interesting, neat stuff. Maybe nobody knows. Certainly we don't know. And I have dubbed it for this movie, "You Better Believe It, Brother."
Well, I'm going to start off with a quick one, Bill, if that's cool.
Please do.
At one point, we see Jackson's ID because it gets pickpocketed from him because the city's full of crime. And it lingers. It lingers on his ID for a moment. And it says he was born in 1938, which would make him 50 in this movie.
I have got to believe that somebody just borrowed their dad's ID card, put some white out over top of it, photocopied it, and just was like, "That's our budget. It's what we got. Just pencil this in." Because there ain't no
Has
way.
to be.
Ain't
no way. He was what, 39 when this was filmed or something?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah.
Of course, back in the day, even if you watch this on the movie screen, that might be your only shot. But a standard def VHS copy that you're getting from Blockbuster, you ain't never going to see that.
Yeah, your CRT TV is not letting you squint even close to hard enough to see that date.
But these are the kind of things that I love when you have time to marinate and go back and watch a thing, and you get to pick apart all the little things that you didn't see before. I think, that's online with when you get a glimpse of Columbo's ID badge and you're trying desperately to find out what his first name is. You're like, what did they put? Just scrutinize it within an inch of your life, or going, oh, I see the tape on that thing that used to be a lamp and is now a ray gun. Sure.
Well, what else you got for us, Bill? What's one of your facts?
So I found some interviews with Carl when this movie came out, and he had done some circuits on the interview shows, and he was really counting on this movie to break him out of the shadow of Apollo Creed. He'd done the Rocky movies already up to this point, and he said people were actually doing the thing where they not so much typecasting him in roles on the work side, but they were identifying him with Apollo Creed. He'd so embodied that character that people on the street, strangers, wherever, they just kind of were pushing that image of him onto him. And he's like, I'm not Apollo Creed. I want to do other things. I'm an actor. He's been in Predator. He's done other movies that are coming. He wants to do more. So he really, really wanted this thing to actually be successful and was hoping it would be a franchise. And the movie was on paper a success, not so much at the box office totally, but on home release, it made a ton of money. It more than made its budget back. I think like 4 times over, which is pretty good.
Oh, wow.
But I guess Lorimar, who made this movie, they wound up selling the rights to Sony, and then Sony sold it to Warner Brothers. And it's that classic tale of, we have a thing and it just gets lost in the shuffle. And he never got to carry out another movie as Action Jackson, which, having now watched it, is a crime. It's such a crime.
Yeah. God, that's so tough because I don't know. It's just, we need more. We need more. But I'll keep my next one short too, though, Bill, because I just love when you get these little ditties, I should say, because this is perfect in quintessential 1988. Paula Abdul choreographed Vanity's dance scenes at the nightclub. Like, okay, but was anyone like watching this going, wow? I mean, maybe they were at the time, but it just feels like it wasn't a particularly exciting dance scene by any means. It was what it was, right? I mean, just weird.
It doesn't surprise me because I know this is peak time, her Laker girl doing choreography type stuff. Honestly, I thought Vanity's dance number was a little weird. It had that like, okay, we kind of got a choreographer, but she could have just made it up and I would have been okay with it if you told me.
No one would have known.
No
one would have known.
It's a little pop and lock mixed with that sort of sex. I think maybe what really gets me about it is she does it in that small nightclub setting and it's very well lit for most of the time. Mm-hmm. It's not that real smoke darky type of thing. It's really, you can see what's going on, and it kind of just looks like if maybe you're dancing around your living room a little bit and you're just making it up as you go.
Yeah, she's using a hairbrush as a microphone.
Yeah, I wouldn't have called it sexy, but it was fun. It was fun to watch.
Sure.
It was straight up fun to watch.
Yes, I think that's in that, Bill, it does a good job of fitting in line with the movie, right?
I don't know if I'll rush to watch it again, but she is forever my girl in this scene.
Yes. What's your other one?
Well, my other one is Sharon Stone's in this movie, a very young Sharon Stone, a non-superstar Sharon Stone at this point.
Yeah, I had to look up. I was like, well, what did Sharon Stone do before this? And not a lot.
Not a lot. I'm pretty sure this is post King Solomon's Mines with those movies out, maybe. But, she hadn't gone to Basic Instinct and the Sharon Stone. Of course. No Total Recall, stuff like that. But I found an interview that she'd done with Bobby Weingart, Interviewer to the Stars from back in the day. And Bobby asked her an interesting question. She was asking her about how she felt about being in a movie that was so violent. It had been noted that this movie was, an over-the-top action type of thing with a lot of violence. Remember, it was 1988. Views are different back then. And she had an interesting remark. She'd said that she normally didn't watch action-adventure movies like this because they had violence in them, punches and blood and guns and stuff like that. But after working on this movie and then watching the results of it, she kind of turned around because she said, it's fun to watch because the violence and the action is so cartoonish and over the top. When you watch it, you cheer for the bad guy to get his, but you also know 100% that this is not real.
Yes.
And I find that very interesting because it's kind of that cathartic experience that we get out of things that now in our current time, some of those things, depending on the person's viewpoint, can color one way or the other. Some people would say this is caveman type stuff. Burn this film. And there are people who have been around like me who are like, I remember these things. This is fantastic. And I'll admit, I sometimes find myself torn thinking about things. It's like, I can love a war movie, but I hate war.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile those two things? And I think it's really important to know that one of the best benefits of a movie, regardless of what kind of movie it is, whether it offends you or cheers you, is it gets you to think about things in the real world by showing you an unreal world that you can go, okay, that might happen. I don't want it to happen. That might happen. I do. It's just, that's the kind of the magic of movies. And that's why I really encourage whoever's listening or whoever might make a movie someday to hear this, like, do what you want, and put it out there, and history and everybody will decide what kind of movie it turns out to be. But don't let anybody say, oh, that's X kind of movie. We don't make those. We don't like those anymore. That's not a good way to be. And I hope that doesn't trend in our future. I'm not saying we're never going to see movies like this again directly, but we could see movies in this spirit for sure. And I've seen some new ones that would be just as exciting as this movie in their own way and get me just as jazzed about it. And that's very important because I want to keep watching fun movies.
Yeah. And I mean, just on that point, we are like almost coming out of the era where the small-minded person will say something like, you just can't make jokes anymore, right? You just can't. It's like, no. It's just like, you can't make a movie like this anymore. It's like, no. And that works on both sides. Like, if you make something people like, you can. If you make something that people don't like, then there you go, right? And that goes with the people, the like online critics of things too. Like, you have to represent bad people in movies if the story involves a bad person, right?
Right.
And bad people do bad things. You have to be able to tell a joke that people find funny. And if you personally don't find it funny, doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater either. So it's a fine line at this moment, but I think we're about to cross that threshold because I'm hoping people stop being so insane. But it is what it is, and I hear you there. But Bill, it's not all negative, man.
No.
There are things that we like.
Yes.
And I think you have a segment about this.
Oh, I have a segment about likes, and this segment is called Hot, Hotter, Hottest. Because this movie, being based in Detroit's got some car stuff in it. And I'm a car guy, and people go out and watch this movie, find that line and enjoy yourself, because I'm not going to explain it for
you. Well, what do you want to start off with?
I'm going to start off with, I love this cast. And when I say this cast, I mean practically every single person in this movie. And it's, of course, there's Carl Weathers and Sharon Stone and, Craig T. Nelson, names we know. But there's also, if you're a movie watcher, especially of this time, there's the faces that I'm looking at this going, the very first scene, I go, well, that's the reporter from Die Hard, or sorry, cut that, Rob. I'm looking at the very first scene and I'm like, that's the psychiatrist from Lethal Weapon. Oh, that's half of Hans Gruber's crew from Nakatomi Plaza. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's Craig Baxley. He worked on the Dukes of Hazzard and directed this movie. I see his work in the back. Mary Ellen Trainor, Al Leong, Branscombe Richmond, Rob, Bobby Six Killer from Renegade, who is just, in my mind,
and not the first time he's shown up on this podcast either.
No. Oh, no. See our Death Ring episode on that one. He takes place in there, too.
Not to mention, you said Die Hard and all those people, but Argyle from Die Hard.
Yes, yeah. Argyle, the limo driver, Ed Ross, Michael McManus. Like these aren't names I think most people would know, but their faces when you see them. And I'm just watching going, oh my God, there's Bill Duke, there's Robert Davi. This is a Predator, Die Hard, just reunion on so many levels. And it's something I'm going, well, it must be that Craig Baxley's the director. And I'm sure these are all people he knew. The list of stunt guys I watched in the credits, like he just called all his friends to fill out the backgrounds and players of this movie. And it is just fabulous because these are the cream of the crop of not only your action stars, but man, you're just background people that just make a movie sing by just being who they are and taking a bit character and you don't forget it. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely awesome. And side note, Rob, don't you think that Branscombe Richmond could have been an awesome Chakotay for Star Trek Voyager?
Yes, absolutely.
Not taking anything away from Beltran.
Sure.
But if you had to recast in the time, I'm just looking at him going, he would have been great in space.
Bill, I think I couldn't go any further without saying that I love a movie with a refinery fight scene.
It's been, at least a couple hours since we watched one?
I know. I mean, and the fact that things just go the way they go in this movie, and I mean, there has to be more than one refinery that they're shooting these things at, but it just feels like they all go back to the same refinery.
It feels like it. I do know they shot this film in Detroit and Los Angeles. So, but it's not the RoboCop refinery, but boy, did you get the vibe as soon as it came on screen. It's like, Rob will love this. This is just a nice through line that we're just going to keep. Maybe we'll do a series of refinery movies.
Yes, I think that would be safe. And Bill, just since that one's relatively short, I will go with my next like as well. Just so I think it's safe to say, I love an 80s movie. You've already called it out. I've called it out. Here's an 80s movie set in Detroit. Lady Killers. We got the late 80s movie set in Chicago, right? We've got all of these things where I love seeing a textured 80s film in a different city, right? Not different, quote unquote, but like in a new area that's represented and representative of the place that it's being filmed. It's not just a name and a setting for the movie, but it's actually the city too. And it is important to the city. It's important to the film that it's in this city, right?
Right.
So like RoboCop taking place in Detroit, but filming in Dallas. Okay. But it's like, I get that Detroit is a place in machinery and cars and such, but it just didn't hit the way this film. Could this film have taken place in Chicago? Sure. Could it have taken place in New York? Sure. But something about it being in Detroit felt good, right? Felt realistic. Yeah. And I liked that.
Yeah.
You know,
when I turned it on, I thought you might touch on that because you can tell like a bunch of this is not LA. It's not. And that's so cool because once you have that feeling of like, all right, they went somewhere and yeah, cool. They went to Detroit, and it's like anything else. It's like you could virtually visit a place and all you want, but until you kind of get something about that vibe, and film would do that if it could capture the spots and the sensations of that. And it really does. I feel like, oh, cool. They went to Detroit. You knew it within just 2 seconds of the film starting.
Well, and I always say, like I love an 80s movie like that. And I'm sure I've explained this in one way, shape, or form in the past. But I do think we should touch on it. It's in the start of a new season. The 90s are like a bridge gap, right? Like technology really starts speeding up in the 90s, not only within the storylines with cell phones and computers and such, but also in how you make films. So like, yes, there are a ton of really great movies that come out in the 90s, but you also start getting this weird patina on the screen. And like one year you'll get a Prince of Tides, and the next year you'll get a League of Their Own, or you'll get not a League of Their Own. What's the Field of Dreams, right? But then you also get like a Pulp Fiction, right? Or a Scream. That is such a span of time. But I feel like the movies you get in 1981 and the movie you get in 1988 are not that different. And this is anecdotally stating it, but it just feels like it's a really good time frame where we've mastered the art of making a movie when you just shoot it on film. And we're not trying to, like, we're still making experimental films. We're doing all this sort of stuff. But when we're talking blockbusters, we're talking, you're taking the family. We're talking, this is a thing you can do comfortably. There are theaters everywhere. It's not, you're not wearing your suit and tie to the theater anymore. Like the 80s is about the only time that you get to fit into that box without like as wild of swings. Or when you do get wild swings, it doesn't feel like a wild swing. It's just like, hey, this is what this movie is, you know?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's how I feel now watching films. Is the craftsmanship and the technique is off the charts for what you can do. Sometimes they just feel too polished. I don't know if there's any other way for me to describe it. It's not like I'm yearning for things to be worse, or I'm like the guy that just says, well, you know, if there's film grain on it, it looks... You can't. We've seen movies that do that, and I don't know. It doesn't ring right for me. Maybe it's probably because we are who we are. We grew up and we've seen this in real time. That probably helps a lot. And I would be so curious at this point, having you watch these movies that I love and have shown, if we showed this movie to somebody who was 18, what would they think of it? What would their process of just looking at it? Would their first thing like, this looks dumpy and weird, or you know, does it look real? Because I think that's the best part of this era, is so much of it had to be real. You don't have to fake real. It's right there.
That's so true. Well, we'll always be talking about that, but I'd like to talk about what your other like is.
My other like is the ending of this movie. The fact that this is a movie within a series called Macho Cheese says a lot. But when I got to the end of this movie, I was absolutely blown away. I laughed out loud several times. I was on the edge of it because it's crazy and it's amazing. It is so over the top, but it is over top in that way of what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Where are we going with this? Because it just felt like after an hour and 25 minutes of this, it's like there's just no end to where Baxley's trying to take this movie. They could have shot a rocket, and Action Jackson could have held onto it and rode it to the moon, and I would have went, all right, fine. That didn't happen. Spoilers, which is probably the only time you'll hear me say that because I hate that word. But it was great. I mean, it is a trope salad like I have never seen, but it is like trope salad that has been prepared by a master trope chef. It's just, it is the cheesiest ending of any movie I have ever seen at all. It takes the cake, and it's amazing.
It takes the cake, but gives you a bazooka.
That's true. And delivers it through a hallway in a car.
Yeah. Wonderful. But Bill, it's not all bazookas and cake.
No, it isn't.
There are some things we might not have liked.
Yeah. And, as we learned, there are things that Action Jackson doesn't like. And when he doesn't like them, he just lets everybody know. Now you pissed me off.
Who would you like to begin this one?
I'll start with this one because this is ironic. This has come up before, and I guess it'll keep coming up, but it's usually the degree of offense that makes me call it out. I'm a car guy. That's been on other episodes. We all know that. I've made a lot of stuff about RoboCop's Ford Taurus and blowing up and things that happen. But man, everything that has to do with cars in this movie is just wrong. It's every bit of it is 100% wrong. Not how they work. And I'm okay with the chases and things that happen during there, but Action Jackson drives a 66 Impala convertible. It's Chekhov's classic car because he makes mention of it, how it's his only love. It's the last thing he's got that's worth anything, blah, blah, blah. You're like, all right, this car's going to get blown up. Things are going to happen. Yep. But no, this car meets its demise because he parks it in a back alley at a Fleabag hotel downtown and just leaves it there with the top down. Nobody parks a convertible with the top down and the windows down. It's just nuts in an urban area. And then later in the movie, after it's been stripped, he jumps out a window with vanity and they use the convertible top to cushion their fall. That is not how convertible tops work.
No.
In a steel car that has had its seats removed, therefore all the sharp metal that's shoving up through the floor is insane. And there's the car that the villain, Craig T. Nelson, has made with his company, the Haley, because it flies like a comet, which is a terrible name, is a reworked, rebodied Pontiac Fiero.
Yep.
Action Jackson winds up taking this car and driving it through a house. And I don't mean through a house, like up the stairs, down the hall, into a bedroom. Dude, Fieros don't fit in hallways. I saw this and I can't describe my reaction sometimes. It's equal parts laugh and equal parts, what the hell are you talking about? It's just crazy. So to watch all this stuff and then have, of course, the wonderful Baxley car flips and explosions go with it. But boy, sometimes even in a movie that's really working, maybe that's the problem. The rest of the movie doesn't work my suspension of disbelief. It's just over the top. It's not anything that couldn't happen, but everything that has to do with the cars is just insane. So it just kept taking me and just flicking me right in the ear every time. Going out of the movie, out of the movie.
Are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure?
Yeah. Come on, Craig. Give me a break.
Oh, man. I love that. And I love hearing the car culture stuff because it's interesting because it's very apparent, Bill, like you know cars, you love cars, and you've done things with cars. My dad, not that you were anywhere near my dad's age, but he was a boomer and he always like talked about cars, but never knew anything about cars, right? Like he always was like, I love a Ford Mustang. Let's go to the car show. Let's do things. And it was all about like viewing the cars. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, a lot of cars look very cool, but that does not make a car guy. Yeah. And I think a car guy knows about cars and knows how they work, what you can do with them, what you can't do with them. I think someone who enjoys cars is perfectly fine, but it was just so weird to hear my dad like call himself a car guy, but I never knew anything about cars through him. He never expressed. The car always went to a mechanic, right? Like there was nothing happening at the house.
Yeah. Your dad was a car fan, which is perfectly fine. Yeah. Perfectly fine.
And he was totally bought into the Ford brainwashing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. The Mustang was the only car, right?
Sure.
And
except it wasn't.
It really is like, say that again?
Except it wasn't, but sure.
Yep. But there was one point in my time where I don't know how my dad did it, but he had like a 66 Mustang and like, I think a 67 Chevelle at our house. And they sat in our driveway most of the time. But you cannot, I was probably 14. And you know that when I turned 16, I was just hoping for that Chevelle.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I just didn't happen. He just sold it to someone else like when I was like 15, and I was just like, man, that would have been. But don't worry, Bill, I got the 1993 Pontiac Grand Am that was champagne colored. That God, I almost forgot about that car, Bill. But you never forget your first car.
No,
really.
Did it come with a Mary Kay representative sticker in the back? Because that's about how that would have worked out for me.
Just about. But
hey,
it really. Don't worry, I spent money and got my speakers redone and my CD player put in there.
Of course. Hey, they're as just as loyal as Silver was to the Lone Ranger sometimes, regardless of what they were. They were vital parts of our lives.
Okay, but something I need to say that I disliked about this movie, something that pissed me off. Only to quote the title, it didn't really make me that angry. Excluding the ending of this film, I feel like the movie could have had more action in Action Jackson. Because up until that ending, it was more like punching Jackson. There's a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Not a lot of action. Now, aside from the cab scene that I know we will both talk about later, up until that last part, it was just like punching matches, which is fine and still fun, and the characters are fun. But I was really hoping for a little more action leading up to this movie. Like, give me a couple more, give me a grappling hook or something.
I see your point, especially because the movie sets the rule at the beginning that Action Jackson can't carry a gun.
Yes.
Part of his storyline is he had been demoted in a previous time before the movie starts from lieutenant to sergeant, and he lost his permit to carry a gun. Now, he's still a police officer and working active cases out of an active precinct. I'm no law professor. I'm no student of criminology or police procedurals, but pretty sure that's not a thing. If I'm wrong, I would love to have one of our friends out there tell me, but I mean, you can be a law enforcement officer and have not need a gun. So per se, or it's not a vital part of your day, or if you're in the office or whatever you work for. But I think if you're a cop, pretty sure you have to carry a gun. Didn't Columbo got in trouble for not carrying his gun, Rob?
Yeah. And that's just, I mean, Action Bobby just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Although, when he does punch somebody, it's like they took the Indiana Jones sound effect and just cranked it up through a set of big old realistic speakers and just chucked it at him.
Yeah.
So it is lethal. But I see your point. There isn't a lot of booming Lethal Weapon type chases and blow ups and shootouts, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But I know it seems impossible, but any other dislikes to this film?
Yeah. And maybe this is something we won't agree on. I was not a fan of Carl Weathers' one-liners. I felt they were weak. I think his delivery...
I think we're on the same page here.
I think his delivery wasn't bad. It's just they weren't good. I don't know if... Mm-hmm. It's strange because there's good dialogue in terms of good for this movie and the rest of it, but every time he had to drop a one-liner, it just landed like a thud, like the thud of him punching some perp in the head type thud. I don't get it. Like when your hero is saying things like mellow out and he says chill out to a guy before he shoots him with the flamethrower, that's not even...
No.
It's not an oxymoron.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they were thinking with that one. Surely somebody could have polished that. Like I'm at loss for that one.
I'm right there with you. I do not disagree. Like part of the negative side of this movie is that it seems hasty in a lot of ways, like hastily written, hastily made. Attention due where attention needs to be due. But like it feels like there was just a couple of things that could be punched up, like, and maybe I'll talk about this more towards the end. But this idea that like what makes a good action movie a great action movie? And I think it's all of these things that are kind of combined. But we'll get there because I have one more thing I disliked about this that I wanted to talk about, Bill. And that is that nothing about Coach, a.k.a. Craig T. Nelson, makes me believe he could stand a chance against Action Jackson. I don't care if you give me... They gave us one kung fu training scene. Give me 10. I still don't think this man who is graying at 27 or 37 or whatever old he is, that looks like looks skinny as a rail next to him. He's healthy. He's athletic, but still looks like a string bean next to Carl Weathers. Like, I could not believe he would even stand a chance in a fight with him. And even when they do have a fight, I'm just like, is Carl Weathers going easy on him? Is Action Jackson going easy on Delaplane?
I got to say, when I first gazed upon Craig T. Nelson's frosted tips and his weird, bleached, sort of all of it blonde hair on screen, I was taken aback hard. Like,
I thought it was just gray hair. It just looked gray to me.
In one scene, it's gray. It is gray. But in another scene, it's blonde. So maybe it was just the lighting. And I don't know. Yeah, let's just paint a picture in this aforementioned kung fu training scene that Delaplane is doing this fight scene with his trainer wearing, I'm not sure, he's probably not wearing jeans, but he is wearing a polo and a pullover sweater over top of it. So if this movie had been called like Action Librarian, this would have been freaking amazing. But no. And I wonder if maybe part of the reason that Action Jackson's one-liners aren't so good is because maybe they spent so much time trying to make sure that Craig T. Nelson had dialogue that was to make him kind of evil. Because I got to say, when he's just talking and being evil straight up, he's pretty good at it.
Yes.
He says some lines, especially one line that is a definite no-no today that would have got a rise out of everybody instantly back in the day. He really carries off some of his confrontational lines or when he's talking with his evil henchman. He's good at it. But the idea that he is just some kind of weird automotive kung fu tycoon, the movie's weird about that. It kind of reminds me of watching Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fight Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
You could be good at it, but there's something about this matchup just doesn't look right.
Yeah. It is less than thrilling, but it's a small part of this.
I will give him credit though. You and I sat through several superheroes versus evil businessmen in our groovy Marvel movie thing, and he comes off better than Steve Forrest does. So that's something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Well, Bill, what's our amusing segment?
I've called this, maybe this isn't such a good idea.
Well, it's the last segment of the episode before we rate this thing. Your choice, Bill. Who do you want to go first?
I'll let you go first, Rob.
Okay. Well, I know it's on your list too. So I will do one that will slide directly into you and we can just talk together because we got to talk about this cab scene. It was amusing. It was amazing. It was exactly what we needed in this moment of the movie, right?
Yeah.
We've learned about Detroit. We've learned about Action Jackson. We know he's got a troubled past and hates Craig T. Nelson's kid, I guess.
Yeah.
As well as Craig T. Nelson. But Bill, why don't you walk the audience through what happens in this cab scene?
Oh boy! Well, should I walk them or should I run at incredible speed? And
real quick, I love that it starts off with. This is the only part I want to say. Sharon Stone asking him, "So why do they call you Action?" Boom,
boom! Right as a cab almost runs him and her down. Yeah, it's great, and it reminded me. Right in that moment of Riggs chasing the car in Lethal Weapon, I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of those strange chase scenes that I don't quite understand how it works out. But no, Action Jackson takes off after this car and he catches a speeding car on foot. And this is some Craig Baxley classic A-team hunter photography. This cab is going away at speed, 40 miles an hour, making some turns. Like it's going to be a couple of blocks away. Action Jackson takes off on foot, catches up to this thing at those speeds. And I kept thinking, is he on a flatbed and pumping his arms like Steve Austin? Because that's kind of what it looked like, and it kind of didn't. And then he pulls up beside of it on foot, tells the guy to pull over. It is a chase scene. It is an actual regular chase scene that you might see on any other movie, but the freaking guy is on foot. And he catches the car, catches up to it, tackles it by hand, and then basically winds up doing a super flip over the top and causing the guy to wreck. It's madness. And I had to I gotta
say, Bill, real quick. He's running as this cab is driving. And I'm like, oh my God, they're really trying to tell us he's as fast as a speeding car. And I'm like, okay, I see the cab turn, drive on the sidewalk. I'm like, all right, I'm, with the dips and turns and maneuvering, maybe I can suspend my disbelief that he's at least near the cab, right? Action Jackson eventually ends up on top of the cab, riding it, avoiding gunfire, through the roof, as you know.
Always strange to see that.
And then he immediately punches the windshield with his fist. And I was like, okay, all rules are out the door. I don't mind. Whatever. This is great.
It was.
And then, like you said, he taunts the car afterwards after getting thrown off, and it's like, come on, drive at me like a man, And then, does a flip over the thing.
It was so strange. And I had to research this, and I looked into it, and I found interviews with Carl Weathers, because it didn't look fake enough is the only way I can describe it. Like, what did they do?
Fair.
They spent 2 days shooting this, and he did this stunt. He did the running. They had him run as fast as he could, and he chased this car all day. Now, they did some cutting to make it look the way it looks on screen, but for all intents and purposes, Carl Weathers actually did what you see on screen, trying to catch up with this car. They would say, this car's running, it's going to come by at 15 miles an hour. So when it gets up to here, you take off so you can be beside it. And he said they ran him into the ground. And I remembered that they'd made the line that Action Jackson was a former track star in college.
Yes.
So they tied it in there. Carl had played football, so he's no stranger to running. But once again, it's not real, but it's not fake. And that whole scene is just, it works. It is just perfect for this movie.
I loved it too. And I think that you just can't get any better than that, right?
No, because the only reason he gets on the car the whole time he's doing that, kind of talking, he's just mad now. He's just tired of messing with it. So of course he punches the windshield out, which is another thing you can't do with a car, but they do this. I think that set a tone for the movie that I was like, I want more of this.
Yeah. And then we do end up getting that towards the end.
Yeah. But you just get the feeling that he goes along until he can't get along anymore. And then he's just willing to punch his fist through anything that's in front of him to make it end. It's awesome.
Well, Bill, what's your other one? Your other amusing moment?
My other amusing moment is The Invisible Men. And that is the name that is given to this cadre of assassins that Delaplane has utilized to take out his competition and people he doesn't want. We are introduced to them at the beginning of this movie in an insane way. They rappel into a skyscraper office to take out to just take out Edo Ross and Mary Ellen Trainor, the psychiatrist from Lethal Weapon. And they're like ninjas, but you don't see them. They have the ability to disappear, reappear. And the thing is, they are silent, deadly, but they're so what I called carefree. And they're like whack-a-mole. They just pop up, they kill somebody, they run away. But there is a scene in the movie where they take out one of Delaplane's rivals in the auto industry for power. And they do it by, they go out to his yacht, they kill the crew, they come in. One of them has a briefcase, which they attach to the guy's wrist with a pair of handcuffs. And then they leave, and that guy opens he opens the briefcase, and there's the classic timer counting down from like 5 seconds. And all my brain could think was, these idiots are so into what they do. They're like, okay, we've got to hit this at the exact moment. They've set the bomb off.
Yeah.
If the motor conks out on the boat, they're screwed. But nah, they're just having a good time, and they like timed it perfectly, put it on there, no margin for error. Like there's way easier, less dangerous ways to the assassin to kill your target. But these dudes are like, nah, this is cool. We're just going to run with that. I
just love it.
They are beyond the perfect kind of guys you need to have in a movie like this. That is just, once again, like not fake. Not real either. They're amazing.
With haircuts like that, how could they go wrong?
The power. I swear that's Tina Turner's stunt wig from Thunderdome.
Oh, yeah.
That the one guy's wearing.
Well, Bill, my other amusing moment is a little bit silly, which is why it's in the amusing moment parts. But this is just before the don't say no or just say no era of like dare and drugs. Like people are getting worried about, like everyone always, is worried about drugs, but like this was before it became like the war on drugs. And it's just funny to me to see them talking about drugs in like these magical sort of ways too. In that, I guess Vanity's addicted to crank or smack or something.
Unclear.
And there's one scene where she's going through withdrawal and Action brings her a box of rat poison. He's like, hey, I got your next fix.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, oh, very funny.
Oh, it's brutal.
But we see in the beginning that when she's mistressing around with Craig T. Nelson, that instead of them actually like having extramarital relations, they lay down on the bed and he pulls out what can only be described as like a 1920s syringe.
Oh my God. So true.
It is the biggest, oldest, like museum level. Like it has the 2 thumb circles, or the 2 main finger circles in it. It doesn't look anything like anything.
Grips. The finger grips. I'll tell you, my wife is a nurse. She works for the nursing program. She did a display. Like this is the thing that was in the display. Like when I saw him, and of course he presents it in like the tennis bracelet container kind of way. Yeah. Like an anniversary gift. And when that thing opened up, I'm like, is he getting his drugs from back in time?
Yeah.
The hell is this thing? It's, you use this on a horse. You don't use it on a human.
Also, like, why is he delivering her drugs? Like it's very odd.
I don't know. I will say, sub point, the movie's story is a little whack.
Yeah.
For the logic of what's happening. I'll throw in an extra factoid. Even the cast were like, we kind of had a problem figuring out some of what was going on here. But like he gets off on just giving her the stuff to get high. But you're right, man. That big giant silver Doc Baker Little House on the Prairie syringe. Like you can't even get needles for those, man. You're just making. Where did you find this thing? It's crazy, and she keeps.
And it already has the drugs in it.
Yeah,
and
apparently it's self-loading because she just kind of keeps it with her, and she's using the thing. It's like, is this like the equivalent of giving your lady friend like a silver tea set from Tiffany's? I don't know. It was odd. It was odd.
You had one bonus. I'll give a bonus. Bill, there's a movie in 1990 called Dangerous Passion that stars Carl Weathers and Billy D. Williams.
Ooh.
And in certain areas of Europe, it was released under the name Action Jackson 2.
Stolen Valor.
Yeah. But hey, Carl's in it. So.
I mean, it might be good, but you as a master of horror movies know better than anybody that you always can't trust or sorry, that's not right. You as a master of horror movies know that you can't necessarily trust that title when it's got a number after it, that it's really what it says it is.
That is the truth. And I have a feeling his name is not Jackson in the movie.
Probably isn't. I wouldn't think so, but hey, part of the love for the overseas stuff is we'll call it whatever we want just to get you in the theater. Now we got your money, it's too late. You know what they've done? That is the equivalent of giving us moviegoers that big silver syringe with a ticket inside for one movie, then we think it's a different movie.
Yep. Well, Bill, it's that time. We got to rate this thing. And how do we do that?
Well, this is our patented segment that we call 5 Nights for $1. And back in the day, if you'd been in your VHS store or your DVD type place of rental, you'd walk in, you might see a rack or something, a bunch of shelves, and there might be a bunch of movies on it. And they might say something like, hey, 5 nights for $1. Anything on the rack, throw down your $1. You can keep it for 1 night, keep it for 5 nights. That's the fun. That's the value. And that's kind of how we rate our movies. We don't rate them against anything else. No sequels, prequels, nothing else in the series, just simply the movie itself. And it's kind of a real joy when we do this every time. I love this segment. So, Rob, we've gone in fresh-faced. You and I opened the door to the video store. I'm going to say 1988. There's a whole rack of Action Jacksons back there on there. Not only that, but we could go up to the counter and we can buy the pin backs that say Action Jackson 88, which I had to go on eBay and find out that exist. And now I want one worse than anything. And we both want the same movie, so we both rent it. We've taken it back to separate dorm rooms because I've altered time and we're now in college together at the same time. And we've watched this tour de force. We've watched Action Jackson. How many of those 5 nights is each one of us going to keep this movie?
Wow, Bill. I of course, am going first for obvious reasons. And I do want to just discuss what I brought up earlier. I think that this movie is a good action film, but it's not a great action film. And we talked about the story's a little muddled, the one-liners are a little muddled. And I just got thinking, like, after I watched this, like, well, why isn't it great? The cast is great. The action's good. Like, where there's action, it's a lot of fun. There's some silliness to the movie, which is important. But I think I have to say that the reason why it's not necessarily a great action movie is because, although there's a lot of punches, I think it pulls its punches a handful of times. You can't have Action Jackson be a superhero but also be demoted for some reason that we don't ever get to really talk about. Like, a guy lost his arm, I guess, but still, he's a superhero that has to go to like a charity banquet and stand in the corner in the back, and that's how he meets Sharon Stone. You get a lot of fights and a lot of city life, but then you get this cab scene. And then you have to wait again till like another half hour till the end of the movie to get the next huge giant set piece. So although I had fun watching it, there are just crucial elements that it should have been like every 5 minutes something ridiculous needs to happen in this movie. And it wasn't quite there. 5 minutes might be quick, but you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But all that said, I had a blast. Carl Weathers was amazing in this. And for that, I think I will keep this movie for 2 nights. I think it's 2 nights for $1 for me because I will watch this the first night. I will put it on the next day while I'm like doing stuff around the house, but I will definitely rewatch the ending and that cab scene again. And I will call people over and say like, hey, you got to see this because it's that much fun. So it's getting a 2 from me.
Totally respectable. I see your point, and I can back you up on a good part of it. I think as well, the movie lets down in certain places. I think the biggest letdown is it lets Carl Weathers' character down. The movie's got action in it, like you said. It's over the top. It's funny, but there are too many points in the movie where it leans into we see it, you see it kind of humor versus just letting the scenes play out and the characters play out and you kind of laugh along with the situation. This is a movie that were you to make it a drinking game this is a movie that you could make a drinking game out of for the drink anytime anybody says the title. Mm-hmm. There is no shortage of people in this movie that will let you know his name is Action Jackson, including him. Too much in a lot of ways. The characters are fun to watch, but they're cartoony. The cops in the precinct are cartoony. His ne'er-do-well friends that he runs around with, they're a little too cartoony. Robert Davi's character is a bit over the top, and it's kind of where the characters are almost saying so much about the main character to tell us how we're supposed to feel and to keep reminding us how amazing Action Jackson is. It's like, I don't need that. That's why we have the scenes where the fights. That's why we should have the shootouts. That's why we should see him being Action Jackson, just like we see Martin Riggs be a lethal weapon. And that's where the movie really drops that ball. It carries you through in the fact that it's so much fun to watch, but there's not that underlying pull of this character is somebody I want to see do stuff again. And part of that big ending, that's the greatest trope salad. I love it, but it's almost like they go, hey, all that stuff you were kind of worried about that we just kind of left hanging. Let's just seal that back up and make it cool.
Yeah.
To the point where it is detrimental. You can enjoy it, but you can't take so much of it seriously that is a deficit to having this movie have legs in a way that you would want it to for a franchise character. And it's a shame because Carl's great in it. He didn't need to say his name 1,000 times. He could have carried a gun and done some more stuff. And it would have been nice to think that he could have gotten a better script if they'd said, all right, there's legs on this character, let carry it. But it's too good a B movie. Maybe that's the big point I'm trying to make. As a B movie, it's 5 nights for $1. It's a 5-night B movie. I'll keep it. I own the thing. I went and found it. But I'm only going to watch it. I'm probably 2.5.
Yeah.
This is my best. Like, I'm going to rewind some of the best. So I'm going to watch it the first night. I'm going to keep it well into the third day. And then probably by day 4, early morning, whenever I'm passing the video store after we leave the dorm, I'll take it back and drop it off. And I may revisit it sometime, but probably won't be anytime soon. So overall, my final rating will be 4 nights with an actual viewing time of 2.5. And then
that makes sense.
And it's going to be one of those movies, though, that I think we can both agree that if your friends are around and they haven't seen it and they're in like, let's just watch something crazy, man. It's like, I got it. And you can enjoy it along with them, even though you've already seen it. So in that sense, it has legs. But on a solo kind of viewing thing, it could have done better. But boy, on the cheese factor, it's off the charts. That's what I asked for. And in that sense, it is a total success.
You're so right, Bill. And I think that it makes a lot of sense. But you know what else makes sense? For our listeners who would love to tell their friends about the Bill and Rob's premium universe, where, of course, they all know what they get. They get this episode, ad-free, video, and pumpkin spice. And we're just trying to build it on up. We might be doing some tricky stuff in the future, and we need to get those people on board, Bill.
Trying to get yourself out there with your show is much like trying to jump on a moving cab at speed. And we're not asking anybody to do that for us. Please don't Action Jackson the internet, but we know you're all out there doing what you can to spread the word for the show, and it's greatly appreciated. Rob and I are always looking for ways on ourselves. Boy, we'd love to just do this for our jobs and have fun with it. Wouldn't that be awesome? But we're not there yet, but we do appreciate everything everybody does, and any chance you get to spread the word about the show, we do appreciate it. And I will lay this out there, everybody, especially our loyal friends out there. If you see anything that you think might be a good avenue for us to put ourselves out there with. Maybe if you catch wind of anything that might help get us some exposure, we're always looking for help. That's why we don't call you friends. Please. We call you friends. So everybody's on the internet. You all watch other things and know other things. So if anything looks interesting that we might fit into, drop us a line. We'd love to hear it.
I couldn't agree more. Well, Bill, I'm looking forward to slathering this cheese all over these nachos, or machos as it is, the rest of this season. What do we got next week? Doll Man with Tim Thomerson.
Wow,
I remember him.
Yeah, it's no secret. This film's from 1992. I'm a huge Tim Thomerson fan. Trancers is the holy grail of movies to have in your collection as far as I'm concerned. I love it. And so when I'm thinking super cool dude on screen, his name popped right up there. So this is actually a movie I haven't seen all the way through. I think no, that's not true. I have seen it, but I saw it in an edited version. So it's time to go back and revisit this bad boy straight through.
Okay. That is interesting. I would like to know more. Would you like to know more?
Well, you will know more if you tune in next week.
All right, man. Well, that's it for this week, and we'll see y'all next time on Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure.